Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mocktail Minutes. This is Bailey.
And this is Brianna.
This week, I am drinking, I think it's called SkinTē, but I found these on Thrive Market, and they have some collagen in them. They do have some, this one is another one sweetened with erythritol, and it did actually kind of bother my stomach. And then at the end of it, so it's kind of a tea-based drink, I guess. Yeah, it has black tea in it. The black tea is like chunky at the bottom, like it's settled. And they kind of give you a warning on it that says, I was reading it this morning. It says something like, best when chilled, just like you, sediment is natural. So I guess it's like supposed to do that because it's more of a natural product. But then I had chunky black stuff in my mouth, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless it's bad and it's mold, so that could be.
And that's not sediment, but
I don't know. So I don't
Well,
know if I'll try them again. I mean, it didn't taste terrible, but yeah, it did bother my stomach today.
yeah, I've noticed that with sugar alcohols, like if it's above a certain amount, it doesn't feel great. So, and that's different for everyone. Today I have carbonated water, just plain, but I mixed it with the King Orchard's Tart cherry packets.
Ooh.
So I'm like back on my getting into my workout routine. I've been sore, so this is supposed to help with recovery, but my husband loves these and can just eat them straight, but they're so tart that I can only do half, and then I'm like, okay, I can't. So I like to just carbonated water. It's like a fun little, I don't know, like mocktail. It's fun. I don't know.
Yeah. That Tart cherry juice, it really is good for that recovery period. I have a lot of my athletes will do that and make gummies for it as well.
That's smart. Yeah. But yeah, no, good for recovery. It's antioxidant. It's supposed to help with I don't know if it helps with melatonin production or if it just helps to relax you, but a lot of people will take it at night. Hopefully it doesn't make me tired because I can't afford that.
Yeah. We have things to do.
To do.
We're going to keep going.
It's early on a Monday. I got things to do.
Yes. And we do record on Mondays usually. So you are listening to this on a Thursday. If we ever confuse you about what day of the week it is, that's why we do talk about Mondays.
Yeah. We're typically always recording on a Monday. So
yes. Anyways, today we are getting into NEAT versus EAT movement. This is a good topic because NEAT movement, I think, is not something we typically think about, especially, we work with a lot of people who come to us for weight loss. When we think weight loss, it's like the automatic things are we got to cut carbs, we have to stop eating dessert, cut down sweets, we have to eat cleaner, whatever that means, and then we have to go to the gym. Those are the things that people are coming to tell us. I know the part that I would say 90% of us forget about is the NEAT movement part of things.
Oh, yeah. That's easy to do because, like you said, when it's weight loss, they're trying to be healthy. What am I eating? How much am I eating? And how much am I working out? And, so a lot of times clients will get into a really good workout routine and maybe they're not seeing progress like they thought. And my first question always is how much are you moving your body? Because just because we're in a good workout routine, yes, that's good. That's beneficial. We need it. But that's just a tiny little piece of everything. Really, when it comes down to it, your non-exercise activity is really where it's at.
Yes. So to break this down a little bit for you, NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So it's a lot easier to say NEAT. So that's what we're referring to for the rest of this episode is that type of activity. Basically, this is any energy that we expend with anything that does not include our sleeping, our eating, the planned exercise. So, it ranges from all different things that we're doing throughout the day, depending what we do at work, our leisure time activity, if we're sitting versus standing, if we're taking the stairs, shoveling snow, dancing, cleaning the house, getting out of bed. All that kind of takes NEAT energy. And also just fidgeting when you talk. I tend to talk with my hands a lot, so I guess I get some NEAT movement unintentionally from there. But really, it's any type of movement that is not planned exercise. And there is a lot more research starting to come out around this NEAT movement because I guess for years, I would say, we've been so focused on going to the gym, getting in those workouts, but then it's we're sitting all day long now.
Well, and I talk about this a lot too. We're probably just as busy, if not more busy, than we have been in previous generations. Like the busyness is still there. I think maybe even more busy now, but we're a lot more sedentary while we're busy. Like we're doing grocery pickup, we're working from home, we're doing like Zoom calls, we're just spending a lot of time driving. We don't typically walk places. We just are doing a lot less movement.
Depending on where you live too, I think that makes a difference on are you able to even like safely walk somewhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're having to cross a highway or something to get to your place, yeah, we don't want you playing leapfrog on the highway. No.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
Yes. And then there are more desk jobs, there's more technology. I mean, several years ago, we weren't just sitting, even a couple years ago. I mean, we just weren't sitting as much watching Netflix, binge watching TV shows. We just didn't have that instant access to everything. I mean, everything is literally in the palm of our hand now. We can sit and watch Netflix wherever we want, you know?
Yeah. We're not, most of us aren't growing our own food and like homesteading like that. You know what I mean? Like if you think about it, we used to be just very active as a species because we needed to do a lot more for our everyday life. Like now, I mean, like stores weren't a thing. And even 30, 40 years ago, it's just a lot different. We're just as busy, if not more busy, but our conveniences and the things that we do with our daily life are drastically different. And this adds up. Because I know we're probably gonna get asked, like, well, doesn't neat movement kind of go to like your basal metabolic rate? So no. So when we're like looking at calories and we're doing an aerial view, so there's really four things that burn calories categories. Okay. So you have your basal metabolic rate. Most people think, oh, this is like the energy I need to like just like walk around or like get up from my desk and go to the bathroom. No, your basal metabolic rate is everything that you need to survive. Like if you were in a coma, for example, you're still going to be burning calories because your heart is going to be pumping, your lungs are going to be breathing, your body is going to be digesting food, it's going to be powering your brain, it's going to be doing all the necessary things you need every day. That's your basal metabolic rate. Your NEAT is something completely different. So you have BMR, you have your NEAT, you have your eat or your exercise time, and then there's also a small percentage called the thermic effect of food. So basically, calories that are needed to metabolize and absorb your food. That's another thing. So there's like these four big categories, and the majority of your calorie burn is taken from that BMR. But the next big chunk is from your NEAT. It's not from your exercise like everybody kind of thinks about.
Mm-hmm. And our need is kind of like the most variable piece of our total energy expenditure. If you are someone who is more sedentary, maybe this makes up like 6 to 10%. If you are someone who is highly active, like you're up, going, you have a very active job, this can be like 50%, you know? It can make up the variation is so large and it really depends on your lifestyle, it depends on your job, your environment. With that being said, I mean, there's been studies that have shown a 2000 calorie variation versus between like two people who weigh about the same, have a similar body size, but that neat movement looks very different, and that can be a difference of 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
That's crazy, you know. So there is that neat movement that can be what moves the needle a little bit for you, and it can. It's I will say it's one of those things that seems so simple to do, and that's why it gets overlooked because we know, yeah, it's better to park farther away to go to the grocery store. Like we hear these things all the time. It's just another one of those things that we hear and like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But even just standing at your desk versus sitting will make a difference. It can be like 70 more calories you burn during the day. And even talking about calories, like we don't focus on calories too much, but I mean, it just shows us how much energy it takes for our body to do this other type of movement rather than just sitting. So
Right.
70 calories is not a huge amount. Like it's not going to be your 10-pound weight loss you might be looking for. But I mean, this could be like a difference of 5 pounds over the course of a year
Yeah.
just standing more at work.
Right. And It's one of those things. I feel like we hear all this stuff like, oh, this is what you could do. You can stand into the sit. You could take the stairs. You can, park farther away. And we're so conditioned to be like, okay, that's not enough. So I don't need that. I need CrossFit. That's just like where our mind goes because we're like, oh, it doesn't matter, but it does. And when you look at it on the grand scheme of things, like, okay, where is my body using energy during the day? Okay, I know a certain amount is going here, but like, where's the other parts? And your NEAT movement is always going to be like double your exercise. That's just how
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah.
So whether you're one of those people who, maybe works out once a week or maybe works out like 5 times a week, like Bailey was saying, there's those variations. Wherever you are with that variation, you can almost guarantee that your NEAT movement is going to be twice as much. And this is an important thing to think about. Like I did a post a really long time ago. Like maybe I'll share it again because I got like a lot of people who were like, "Oh wow, that's crazy." I used my fitness watch and I was like, "Here's an example of what a really intense workout day looked like, and then what a day of no intentional exercise looked like." And not only was my calorie burn higher, my steps were much higher, my movement just in general was much higher. And most of that has to do with, oh, well, it's a couple things. Okay. So, number one, we get into a really good workout routine and we feel great. Oh, check that box. I did my workout today. And then you kind of just feel like, okay, the rest of the day doesn't matter because I did what I was supposed to do. And so we're a little bit less, like we're more sedentary, we move less. On the other side of things, like in that example on my post, the day that I had worked out was a really intense HIIT workout and I was exhausted the rest of the day. So
Mhm.
I came home and I literally was like, I have to nap today. I need to take it easy. Like I'm exhausted. But in my brain, like in the past, I would have been like, wow, I killed that workout. Look at how much calories I killed in 45 minutes. Like, oh, I'm amazing. But really, in the grand scheme of things, it caused me to be more sedentary and move less throughout the day. And that's what's really hurting a lot of people is because we're like, we checked that box. We did so great, but now I can't move the rest of the day.
Mhm. Yeah. Doing a higher level of exercise all the time, yes, you will burn calories really quickly. But like you're saying, that NEAT movement decreases. So if we think that we're just burning this additional 400 calories to cancel out calories we ate, number one, that's not how our body works. We're not just plus and minus type of thing going on. Number two, if it's affecting our NEAT movement as well, then we don't see as great of a benefit, I would say, from it. Because if we're constantly just thinking, I checked that box, I'm going to lay on the couch all day, then yeah, you can't just be sedentary all day and cancel out that sedentary lifestyle with an hour at the gym.
Right. What are you doing with the other 23 hours? I always
Mhm.
ask people that. Obviously, you're sleeping,
Yes.
hopefully 8 hours of those, hopefully, right? But all the other ones, it's like, and I think that's where people get discouraged is because they're like, I'm doing everything right. I'm working out. What the heck? And it really turns out like, yeah, for 45 minutes of your day, great workout, great for your health. Maybe you're building muscle, maybe you're helping your heart, your cardiovascular system, but then you're sitting the rest of the day.
Mhm.
And it really takes a toll. And then I think there are some people who hear that and they're instantly like, well, I have a job that requires me to sit, so I guess I'm never going to lose weight. Like that, don't do that. That's, that's a
That's
bad,
a not a great way to look at it with anything. Like if we are constantly going into these situations and we're automatically like, nope, not going to work for me, just not even to pay attention. Then yeah, it's not going to work for you. Let's be honest, because you are already in that mindset. As soon as you have these thoughts, your brain is going to constantly be looking for validation to be like, yes, brain, you are correct. I mean, our brain doesn't like to be wrong about things. We like to have evidence to show we are right.
right.
So, why don't you just start thinking about what can I do? For me, I have to be pretty I'm not going to say like I have to like plan out every single step of my day, but I am more aware of how I can move more because I do have a desk job. I mean, sure I do take some virtual clients, so I could walk during that, but that would be kind of weird. I don't
Yeah.
want to be walking and be like, "Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
let's keep going." Like, no.
First
We're
of
not.
all, me talking while walking isn't cute. We don't want that.
Yeah,
So we're not.
like you guys would think I'm insane. So I'm not doing those types of things. But what I am doing to get towards my step goal, and I didn't get here overnight. I mean, I used to average probably 2 to 3,000 steps a day, especially when I was working from home. And then I've slowly worked it up to now I'm able to get about 8,500 in on a good day, maybe 10,000. It kind of depends on what my day looks like. But it's been a slow progression and it's taken time to be aware of how does this movement fit into my day. So I guess what it kind of looks like for me, I usually go on a walk in the morning, not like a 30-minute walk. It's honestly maybe 10 minutes or so. Sometimes if I'm running late, it's like 5 minutes, just something to kind of get my body moving, we get going. I come into work, I try and do the treadmill for a little bit. If I don't have a client right away, I have like the walking pad. So I'll do that. We'll share a link to the walking pad I have. I get asked about it a lot, but we'll put that in the show notes. So I'll do my walking pad while I'm checking emails, getting prepped for clients, doing stuff that I'm doing on my computer. Then I put the treadmill away. I'm walking through the office to get clients. If I didn't do the treadmill in the morning, maybe I'll do it in the evening as I'm wrapping up client notes, that type of thing. I kind of just do what works for that day. And then I go home. I try and get a walk in once I'm home. That walk is probably like a 30-minute walk. I get my mail and everything. With all that, that's when I get to like the 8,000 steps. Now, if I don't do my treadmill at work, it is harder for me to get there. So maybe I'll do a longer walk once I get home.
Yeah.
It's kind of that balance where I'm just being more aware of how I'm moving more, how I'm not just sitting in the same position all day. Even if I'm not able to walk, I will stand up my desk, and that even helps increase that neat movement part of things, just doing the stand up part of.
And I think what helps here is like two things. So not having that all or nothing mindset, because it could be frustrating. Like, for example, some mornings, like you said, you're running late. Maybe it's only a 5-minute walk. So many people would be tempted to be like, forget it. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna do the 5-minute walk because it wasn't how much time I planned for, or it's not enough. And that kind of thinking really limits you. So being able to kind of be like, hey, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just how can I increase my movement? Not having that all or nothing mindset. And the other thing is looking at it as, not just for your weight loss goals, but for your health goals and how you want to feel overall. So when you move your body more, you have blood flow moving more, you're more energized, you're in a better mood, you have better stress management, you're more productive. So yeah,
Mhm.
like you want to lose weight, but there's going to be plenty of days where you're like, F my weight loss goals, like I'm just in a bad headspace about it. Well, like let's focus on what else can I do? It's going to make me feel better. It's going to make me healthier overall. So this is something I try to work with all of my clients. Like, how can we get to moving more? Little things like maybe you set a little goal for yourself every day that you are reading through your emails. Instead of sitting and doing it, stand while you read through your emails. You know, maybe set a timer on your phone, and like the 30 minutes that you have before getting your kids, you like hurry up and see how much you can clean for 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. First of all, it's going to help you when you get home because you're going to feel better. When you're doing homework with your kids, can you stand instead of sitting? Can you find little walks throughout your day? Like something that I really set for myself, because I do so many meetings, and a lot of them, like you said, I can't walk through. Okay. Like I got to be talking. I have to be here. Like no one's going to appreciate that. But I have a lot of meetings that I sit in on that I'm not necessarily talking or being active. I just have to be there. And so that's a time where I use the walking pad. So if I am, and I don't have a walking pad, I have an actual treadmill, but I have a desk for my treadmill, which is a good option if you're like, I have a treadmill, but not a walking pad. I will sit that up and I'll just do a slow walk. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but I'm just walking through my meeting, and I actually found like I pay attention more because
Mhm.
you
I
just kind of
focus.
face off. Yeah, I'm like, sometimes like, what are we talking about? But when you're walking and you're moving and you're doing something, you're just able to be more productive. So little things like that. Can you get into 5-minute walks during work? Can you park farther away? For me, another one, I don't know what it is with my kids' school, but people will go 30 minutes early to sit in line to pick up their kids. And so it's like, okay, I got to go early or else I'm going to be like in the middle of the road blocking everyone trying to wait in line. So I'll park my car, and if it's a nice day, I'll just like take a quick 10-15 minute walk around the neighborhood there, and get back to my car. Because then it's just a time where I'd be doom scrolling, really.
Mhm.
Anyways, so just being more mindful of like, how can I get in more movement throughout my day? And I listened to a podcast. It was like a couple days ago, and I'm going to butcher it, but they basically were talking about like studies that they've have done. People who, and this has to go with dieting. So if you are someone who, because we just talked about how like neat movement takes up a good chunk of your calories, right? So
Mhm.
if you're someone who deprives yourself of calories, so like you've been dieting, your body is really adaptive. And something that your body wants to do is it wants to survive and it wants to maintain energy. So you will naturally become more sedentary and move less the more you diet. So we're talking like things like fidgeting, things that you do, because yeah, even this is like burning calories. People naturally start to move their bodies less when they diet. And then on the flip side, you also feel more tired, more sluggish, less likely to want to get up and move because your body is forcing you to like hold on to energy. So that's just something
Mhm.
to think about. If you're listening and you're like, wow, I really love to increase my movement, but I'm tired all the time, maybe like incorporating a little snack before your movement might be helpful because your body might be doing that thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to adapt because that's what we do. Our body doesn't want to lose weight. Our body wants to survive. So
Even
maybe,
just making sure you're eating enough at your meals. If you don't
yeah,
necessarily need a snack, are you eating enough? Are you eating 3 meals? Are you eating 3 times a day?
right.
That will make a huge difference, and as well as the piece of thinking about this outside of weight loss. So often we hear going to the gym and it's like, "Oh, it's because we wanna lose weight." Like, no, I don't have a weight loss goal right now. I have a goal of maintaining muscle mass. I have a goal of having great energy. I have a goal of eventually like having kids one day, aging nicely, all those types of things. So thinking about this movement outside of the weight loss piece of things. Yes, it's going to help that weight loss if that's your goal, but it's also going to help, like you were saying, the focusing part
Yeah.
of life. Even just feeling less fatigued, because if we sit all day long, like, when you sit for a couple hours and you get to be like, oh, my back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely outside of movement. And with all this being said, when it comes to steps, I think 10,000 is what everyone kind of hears as a good goal. But really, this number came from a Japanese marketing campaign.
Funny.
It wasn't really like a health research study or anything, but there has been a newer study from Vanderbilt University Medical Center that kind of investigated how many steps a person should take to promote health.
Yeah.
So it kind of looked at using fitness trackers and saw that 8,200 steps, or about 8,000 steps per day, was where people start to see a difference in lowering the risk of developing chronic diseases. So this could be obesity, this could be sleep apnea, GERD, it could be depression, diabetes, high blood pressure. And it also showed that walking more steps than the threshold continues to increase the proven benefits of walking, with decreasing those diseases as well. So, if you're super struggling right now to get to 10,000, I want you to kind of look at how many steps are you getting? Let's start there. If you're averaging about like 4,000 and you are so stressed about getting 6,000 more, how about we just aim for 5,000? Slowly build it up. Like I said, I slowly worked up. Now I'm to the point of getting about 8,500 a day. That's where I'm at right now. Slowly work up. Don't feel like you have to all of a sudden add 6,000 steps.
And I like to tell clients this too. This is where I feel like dietitians really, I feel like this is our magical power. Okay. We understand the science. We know how to read it. We understand the science. We get all of it. We know the right answers, right? We know all the things that can benefit you. But then we're also really good at meeting you where you're at. And we're really good at behavior change, establishing habits, and like kind of gauging how willing and ready you are to make those lifestyle changes. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we know what everybody should be doing. If someone's not going to be able to apply it, it's not beneficial for that person, period. So yeah, maybe you're sitting at 4,000, maybe you're sitting at less, The only thing that you need to worry on is slowly increasing it because that's going to be beneficial for you. Stressing about hitting that 10,000 when you're someone who gets 2,500 isn't serving you or doing any good. And that's where Bailey and I really like, we work, all of our clients are so individual. Like we help you set those tangible goals and work up to where you want to be instead of just being like, you need to be perfect. You need to do this. It's only good if you get 10,000 steps. Like that's not true because any more steps are beneficial. And I wish I would have looked this up because there is some sort of statistic that says blank, like X percentage more movement a day is drastically more beneficial
Yeah.
wherever you're at. And if you're someone who's been sitting at 10,000 steps for the last 5 years, maybe you need a little more movement, right? Like the sky is the limit. So you're never just arriving to this perfect point and then just staying there. So don't get overwhelmed with where everyone thinks you need to be. Do better than you did yesterday or try to just make those small improvements, and that's going to be beneficial for you because I promise you, if you start getting just 1,000 more steps a day than you have been, that's going to add up.
It really does.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's one of those things that it's like so simple. Duh. Yeah, I need to get more steps in, but we're not doing it.
Right.
So it's not going to hurt you to work on it, to try, even if it does feel so simple. It's so simple. Great. Then do it. There's
Yeah,
some tough love for you.
there is. It is tough love. And I was talking to one of the other metabolism makeover coaches the other day, and she was like, I don't know, I feel like we're in a season of tough love, you know? And I'm not one person to be like, you need to do this or else, but
Yeah.
sometimes you need someone to be like, hey, girlfriend, why aren't you taking the stairs? Why
Mhm.
aren't you, walking for 5 minutes? Why aren't you standing while checking emails? All these things, they're doable. We get in our own way, and most of the time it's because we have a really large goal, it's really overwhelming, and we've been telling ourselves that unless we're working out an hour a day, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to tell you what's more beneficial. Neat, like we just learned that it's double the amount. So you know a day of, and that's where the all or nothing mindset comes in. Just because you didn't work out, there's so many more things you can do today that's just as beneficial, if not more, than getting that workout in. I'm not saying you should always miss your workout, but always think of like, what can I do?
I love a good tough love call out. And I think Lindsay Chambers, she's been on one of our previous episodes. She is very good at this and she does it to me all the time. And she does it to a lot of us coaches. We've talked to her a lot. I mean, she's not just randomly messaging us, like tough loving us. It's usually like, I'm going to her, being Lindsay, this is my problem. She's like, well, da 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 da. We all need a little bit of tough love. And this was actually something, so we had a meeting with all the metabolism makeover coaches last week or so, maybe 2 weeks ago. But we were talking about this upcoming launch we're having. So it's going to be our last round of metabolism makeover for this year. So getting that all planned out, the behind the scenes part, getting our act together as coaches. And Megan had us do some journaling, and one of the journal prompts was like, how do you want to feel this year? How do you want to feel going into launch? Like, what is your mission? What do you want to do as a coach? What is things you value? I said one prompt, but that it was like four different ones.
I was like, pick one. Which one do you
Yes.
want? Yeah.
So I kind of went through all of them. And there was also one that talked about, why am I here? Like, what is my purpose? Not just as a coach, just on earth. And it was actually a very hard journal prompt for me to work through. And it started to bring up a lot of things the more I sat with it. Kind of doing all these pieces, I came up at the end. I want people to feel self respect, which is something that I'm working on for myself. It's been a learning process. And I think that's gonna kind of be my theme for at least the rest of this year for myself, is self-respect, but also helping other people kind of get to that point and taking that control of our life, almost deciding what we can control, what we can to do, those types of things.
And I think that's, again, we talk about mindset every video because
It
it's important. But
is.
one of the things that I was thinking about, it was like, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in a year or 5 years and, whatever. But like, okay, in a year, where do you want to be? And then it's like, how do you think you can get there? know? It's like, okay. And then it's like, what's holding you back from doing that? You know, what is it? And it's so eye opening because it's like, I don't know, nothing, nothing, and we do that with ourselves. Like, okay, we've already established what could probably help us get there, but we're not doing those things. So the problem isn't knowing what we need to do. The problem is challenging ourselves and asking ourselves, why aren't we doing that? And 9 times out of 10, it is those self limiting beliefs, like self sabotaging. We get in our own ways. And so if you're listening to this and you're just like, wow, this seems so simple, but I'm just not doing it, take one of those prompts, the one that Bailey just talked about, the one I just talked about, and ask yourself, like, who do you want to be? What do you want to feel like? Where do you want to be? And then, why aren't you there?
They seem like simple questions. They're hard to answer. And this is something that it seems so stupid to do. I think we've talked about journaling where we were both kind of like, this is so stupid. Why am I doing this? But it's also the best thing that I've ever done for myself to learn to take that self responsibility, to learn to change the stories that I tell myself as well.
Yes. Yeah. No, and yeah, we've both talked about it. And sometimes journaling is still a struggle for me.
Yeah.
I'm learning to like it, but something I will do is I'll take these prompts, and when I go on a walk, I'm like, let me ask myself this question. I'm out here by myself. I'm walking. Let me dig into this and have this conversation with myself. And it's really eye opening. And it's like, it sounds
Even
silly,
if,
but I promise you, I promise.
even if that works for you, like when you walk and talk with a friend, like you can talk forever and just things keep coming up. Walk and talk to your headphones in. It's gonna feel weird, but people think you're just talking on the phone. Like they have no idea that you're just talking to yourself.
That's true. I mean, I should ask my neighbors, but I'm pretty sure they always just think I'm on the phone.
Yeah. You're getting your neat movement in.
Yeah. I'm
After
doing some self work, all of the things. But it's so true. Like, we've just been so stuck with thinking like you're the problem. You have no willpower. If you were just to do this, everything would be okay. And so we're like, we feel stuck and we don't know how to do it. And then and this definitely circles back to this whole neat eat thing. Both of those things you have to be intentional with and do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just holding yourself back. And I always tell clients, like, if you don't know where to start, pick neat, because that's going to be much more beneficial and much easier. Like, how difficult is it to stand while on the phone? It's easier than going to the gym for an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we could do this. I could do this. I could use my fitness watch as a tool, and I can set the whole stand reminders. And every time it goes
Mhm.
off, I can do a little stretch break. I could do that. These are things you can do. And then once you build up that skill and you keep reassuring yourself, I can do these things, then suddenly more neat time, more exercise time doesn't feel so overwhelming because you've proven to yourself you can do it.
Even if it's calf raises,
Yeah.
squats, something that takes 30 seconds each hour that you're working, that'll make a difference. So, we've ended up talking about neat movement a lot longer than we had planned to. We were going to talk about eat movement too. So, I think let's just touch on that because we do have an episode next week with a guest and we're talking more about strength training, which kind of falls into that eat category.
Okay, so eat. That's your exercise activity, thermogenesis time, however you want to look at it. This is intentional workouts. We're intentionally lifting. We're intentionally going to Orange Theory. We're intentionally, whatever we're doing, we're intentionally working out. It's a planned workout. This is still beneficial. And I don't want people to think like, ooh, okay, working out doesn't matter anymore. I just want you to know, like, in the grand scheme of things, everything has their own place. Eat is going to account for, depending, 20 to 30% of your calorie burn. This is if you are doing consistent exercise every single week. Once you kind of drop below consistent exercise, it's much less, just so you know. But I don't know. What do you want to talk about in terms of eat? Like,
I think just, I don't know, kind of explaining exactly what it is. And I think it kind of helped to talk more about the neat movement because it is what we forget about. Eat movement, I feel like that's what we think about all
yeah,
the time is the time we're going to the gym or the time we're doing a workout video or we're doing a body weight exercise. We're going to boxing. We're going to Zumba. We're going to the Orange Theory. We're planning those out. And maybe that's why it can be easier for some people to get it in because you have a class period that you're going to. That's a planned time for you.
Yeah.
You're planning to do a workout in the morning. You're getting up to do that. So if we take that same thought process with the NEAT movement, look at how different that could change your day.
Oh yeah.
We can't just counteract our sedentary day by going to the gym for an hour. I mean, like we said at the beginning, we have so many more hours in the day. That 1 hour, yes, it'll make a difference, but that NEAT movement will make a lot more of a difference. And I think it is important to look at that NEAT movement first. Like if you are starting with everything right now, I would say nutrition is going to be the first piece. No matter what, nutrition is always going to be number one in my book. Could be because I'm a dietitian, or could be because that's just the truth. I don't know. You decide.
I think it's number one.
Yeah. Okay.
And
And
vibes.
then the second thing I would say is probably, I would say second or third, NEAT movement. But no matter what it is, like if your sleep is not doing great, maybe the second thing is sleep. I mean, it's kind of hard to rank things. But in general, I would say NEAT movement over the EAT movement getting started.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like I said, it's going to be easier to establish that eat movement once we've done more meat. And it could be anything. It can be whatever is going to bring you joy. Like I had a client, she was like, my neat movement is I turn YouTube on and my kids have a dance party for a couple minutes. And I actually join them instead of just watching them. And like that's all she was doing. And you know what? She felt great and she just naturally started progressing her movement. Whereas other
Mhm.
people would have been like, oh man, that's not enough. That's no, it is. It is enough because now she is growing to other places.
Yes.
Magic
We
moment.
have to take these baby steps that feel annoying and stupid so that we can get to the big things.
Mm-hmm. And I would say too, the whole eat versus neat. If you're someone listening to this and you're like, I feel like my nutrition is pretty spot on, and I feel like I've always been someone who loves exercise and I do it, this might be an area that maybe you're slacking in or lacking, and that can be a good aha moment for you. Like, it's not all about exercise because, like I said, yeah, maybe you're getting in 6 workouts a week. That's 6 hours in the grand scheme of a week. I can't even do that math off the top of my head. What is, 23, whatever, the other hours of the week are a whole lot more, you see? So just kind of like look at it that
Yeah.
way. And yes, and like we're having episodes coming up on exercising, specifically strength training. We are not saying don't do this, but we are saying be more mindful of how much you move, be less sedentary. And if you're struggling with where to start, start there.
One step you can take for this week is even just to decrease the risk of chronic disease, bumping up those steps. Use that fitness tracker or your Apple Watch as a tool, not so much as like looking at the calories, taking the focus off the calories, even
Yeah.
seeing what your steps look like. Looking at those pieces, I think that would be a good next step. And then when it comes to eat, that would be then the next step after that.
I actually tell clients like ignore the calories.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
people agree with that. But first of all, I can't
They're
even
not
tell
accurate.
you. I could tell you how inaccurate they are, and that will make some people very upset. But I'm gonna tell you right now, your Apple Watch, your Fitbit, your Garmin, whatever you have, it is not accurate. It is not. It's just a good, like, ooh, it's a tool. Okay, cool, it's a tool. But don't get so caught up on that. I would rather see your steps every day out of the week, 10 out of 10. I will always ask you, what's your movement like? What's your steps like? I don't care about your calorie burn. And you shouldn't either because it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
I might,
agree.
I'll probably get hate for that. There's going to be people that are like, I'm like, ugh, hate to tell you. They are allowed to have very big, very like room margins for error, just so you know. Also, your watch has no way of telling what your metabolism is doing. Just
It's true.
throwing it out
There's some things that are out there.
there. They're out there. It's
Yeah.
fine. That should make you feel better. I say that to make people feel better. Some people are like, "Oh my god, what?" I want you to feel this is okay. This is a good thing.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. But yeah, I think that would be, I think just overall, in general, focusing on the NEAT. And then we will talk more about EAT, exercise activity thermogenesis, as we progress. But basically, that part is your planned type of workouts.
Your intentional workouts. I'm going for a run. I'm going to a class. I'm gonna lift.
Yeah.
Everything else is neat.
Well, I guess we could throw this out there. If you want to know more about eat activity, that type of thing, we'll put a question box on our Instagram stories. Drop your questions in there, and if we have enough, maybe we'll just do a whole episode on a Q&A on eat.
I like that idea because when it comes to,
Yeah.
I think that's why it's like so hard to like talk about eat. Like there's so many different things to talk about, like
Yeah.
different questions
There's
people have.
lots
So
of good
yeah.
pieces.
So yeah, that might be a good one. And maybe we can, I mean, I might just be jumping the gun here, but I like that idea of like the whole question box episodes. Yeah, we'll see.
So
But
we'll try it out. Stay tuned. We'll post it around when this episode is live. So when you listen to it, if you don't see it on our stories, just send us a message. We'll know what you're talking about. But yeah, let's do maybe a question and answer episode around eat movement, and we'll just base it off exactly what you want to know. But I think this was good. Take our neat movement advice, apply it for the rest of your week, see how you do, see the difference it makes. Tag us on the neat movement you're getting in, whether you're on a walk, whether you're standing, you're doing a rage clean. That's my favorite.
me
You're
too.
cooking.
Yeah.
That'll get you some neat movement.
You're switching the laundry.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
neat. It's neat, you guys. So neat.
All right, everyone. Hope this was helpful as always. And we will talk to you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.